This is lecture number 4, part 1. The topic is manufacturing systems and you will find most of the information in this lecture on chapter 8 of your textbook, which is also called manufacturing systems. So as always, I start with the objectives for this class. This particular lecture will cover, I will say, most of them, so I'm not gonna specify one in particular. But the agenda for this lecture, the idea for this lecture is to give you an understanding of how different manufacturing systems will affect your design for your facility. So I'm going to talk about 4 different types of manufacturing systems. The first one is a fixed automation system. The second one is the flexible manufacturing systems. The third one is single stage multi-machine systems and just-in-time manufacturing. For the first part of this video, we're going to cover the first two, fixed automation systems and flexible manufacturing systems. So again, this is a way of summarizing what I just said. So the objective for this lecture is for you to understand the several types of manufacturing systems and also as they relate to the planning of your facility. So efficiency of manufacturing activities will make a major contribution to the firm's short and long run economic profitability. So planning for your facility, in addition to plan for the departments, you need to plan for what's going to be inside of them. And sometimes the process works the other way around. You will come first with the production, with the manufacturing type of production facility that you want to have, and then from there you're going to plan the way the departments are going to be designed. So the effectiveness of the facility layout and material handling in these facilities will be influenced by the number of factors, which include the product mix and design, the material and processing technology, handling, storage and control technology, production volumes, schedules and routings, and finally the philosophies of the management. So some of the top executive of your company or the company that you will work for will have different type of or will have different type of philosophy. Some of them will prefer a specific way of production facility and will focus, for example, in having a production facility that will focus on the just-in-time philosophy, in which you're going to minimize your warehouse storage and so on. But there will be other managers that will focus on making the customer always happy and have enough units in storage. So if the customer asks for units, you will always have some of them available, and that is contradictory when you compare it to the just-in-time facility that it's looking at minimizing the number of units that you have in your in store. So many external factors affect the facility planning process. Among these factors are the volume of production, the variety of production. So if you can think the difference of having only one product and 100 different products, you will have to find a different way of producing those items. And the value of each product, if you're producing very expensive uh, products versus producing something that it might not cost as much, then you have to take into consideration different things. So each of the factors may lead to a different type of manufacturing facility. For example, you will end up having a job shop or a production line or probably a cellular manufacturing type of production line. Okay, so let's start with the first one. This is the fixed automation system. So as the name says, it will have a lot of machines, automated systems running these production strategy. And I have an example here of a fixed automation system. This is a robot that is used to weld, 30 foot long. It will travel on this line or this track to perform the work that it's supposed to do. So in terms of fixed automation systems, the only example or the example that I think you can relate the most is having a production line for a car. In the car industry, you know that um, you will have the car traveling along these lines, and every time it stops at one of these stations, something is going to be added to the car. So the material flow from one station or workstation to the next in a sequential manner. The production rate for the line is governed by the slowed operation. That's going to be your bottleneck. So that's going to depend on the operation. Sometimes there's some operations that takes longest time, a longer time. So that's going to determine your production rate. Um, Transfer lines are often used for high volume production and are highly automated. So you will see a lot of robots working on this type of products. Some of the disadvantages of this type of production or manufacturing system is that there's a very high equipment cost, the inflexibility in the number of products manufactured, the inflexibility in the layout. Again, you have a highly automated production or manufacturing process, which is programmed to perform the same operation on your product. So if you change the product, you will have to set up that machine again. So it's very inflexible. It's going to take a lot of time. Um, so a large deviation in production rates in case of equipment failures. So again, if you have one of your machines that is failing or fail at some point, then your production line is going to stop, and that's going to decrease your production rate. But that's not the case on other manufacturing strategies, such as the uh, cellular manufacturing. For instance, you're going to have a cell that can be changed with another one, and then you can continue your production. So the design of transfer lines include both the specification of the individual processing stages and the linkage of the stages. Facilities planning for the transfer line is very straightforward. The processing equipment is arranged according to the processing sequence. And as a result of the predictable flow sequences, a straight line flow and its derivatives are frequently used, and that's what I'm going to show on the next slide. So so you can have a straight line flow, a U flow, or a circular flow, depending on maybe the size of the machines or the size of your product, where your storage is located. So there's going to be a variation, but the idea is the same. You're going to have a group of machines that are arranged according to the sequence of the product. And an example of a circular flow is this dial indexing machine, and you can see that picture in which I show the circular flow. And essentially what you have here is a plate that is going to contain or is going to move the item along the machines that are located along or on top of this plate. So parts go from one machine to the another without manual intervention, and the materials are transferred from one machine to the next one in sequence by an automated material handling system. So in this case, the material handling system is going to be this plate that's going to move around. Few examples include automated assembly system for automotive parts, chemical process production system, beverage bottling and canning processes such as Coca-Cola and Pepsi, heat transfer and surface treatment processes, and steel fabrication processes. So let's talk now about flexible manufacturing systems. A flexible manufacturing system, or FMS, are able to manufacture a large number of different part types. So that's why this name, where the name comes from, right? Because you have a lot of flexibility. The components of a flexible manufacturing systems are the processing equipment, the material handling equipment, and the computer control equipment. The computer control equipment is used to track parts and manage the overall flexible manufacturing system. Some of the situations which a flexible manufacturing system might be appropriate is the production of families of work parts, so parts that are similar but not the same. Random launching of work parts onto the system, reduce manufacturing lead time, increase machine utilization, they reduce direct and indirect labor, and better management control. So there are some design requirements that are recommended in designing the material handling system for a manufacturing, for a flexible manufacturing system. So for example, random independent movement of palletized parts between workstations, having a temporary storage or banking of parts next to this area, convenient access for loading and unloading, compatibility with computer control, having some space for possible future expansion, adherence to all applicable industrial codes, and finally access to machine tools. So these systems are designed for small batch or having a low volume and high variety conditions. Because of the variety of alternatives for storing, handling, and controlling material, the specification of the material handling system and design of the layout can be quite different. So here's one example in which we illustrate these manufacturing cells and having a material handling such as this AGV transporter, taking the units from each of these cells and moving it to the centralized storage system, which is located to the left of the figure. So this diagram basically illustrates an external centralized working process storage for a flexible manufacturing system. In this one, this is a flexible manufacturing system with an internal centralized layout. So basically what we have here is again the same number of cells, and we have an internal centralized working process storage, which is these boxes in the middle that is called the pallet storage. So you have also those dark boxes are the ones that are getting the material or the products from the cells, and then they're putting them in the middle of the manufacturing system in this pallet storage until you move them to the final destination or to the final warehouse. Working process is needed because a part has to go through several machines before it eventually leaves the system after the lab machining operation is performed. So for example, if you have a part that have to go to the cell 1, cell 5, and cell 4, then once you're done with cell 1, you're going to put it in this pallet storage until cell 5 is available. Then you're going to move it back to that cell. You will continue the processing, then you put it back into the pallet storage, and then you go back to it to pick it up, and then when manufacturing cell 4 is available, then you're going to go there and finalize the processing. Another flexible manufacturing configuration is based on cellular manufacturing principles, and here what you're gonna have is like a robot or a robot arm moving things from cell to cell. As you can see in this diagram, you have material handling equipment, something moving the cells from the manufacturing cell 2 to manufacturing cell 3. And then also you have a conveyor line at the bottom. So that means once you're done with processing those parts in these, for example, cells that include 1, 2, and 3, then you can put that back into the conveyor line and move it in the case you needed to process it on the next cells, or if you need to send them back to your warehouse. The handling distances are reduced significantly as the machines are placed within the work envelope of the transfer device. and we're gonna have in this particular case, one of these material handling is a robot, a handler, which we have one here in the School of Engineering. There's one of our labs that have this type of robot. But for those of you who haven't seen one of those, I have a video here that I want to share with you um, that shows one of these material handling equipment. So the idea here is this robot is going to pick up this part and it's going to move it to a different location. See that the robot is going to take that part and it's going to put it back to the original location. Okay, so that was an example of this material handling that you can use for this flexible manufacturing system. So what makes flexible manufacturing systems flexible? Have the capacity to do the following: process different part styles in a known batch mode, accept changes in production schedule, responds gratefully to equipment malfunction and breakdowns in the system, and accommodate the introduction of new parts design. Okay, so this is the last slide that I'm going to discuss for part 1 of this lecture. You're going to continue this lecture on the next video. Thank you.